Welcome back to Outbreak News This Week, your source for all the news about worms and germs. Here's your host, microbiologist and editor of OutbreakNewsToday.com, Robert Harriman.
Well, welcome back to the program. Now, while the risk of birth defects from Zika virus has really grabbed lots of attention worldwide of recent, there's another virus. It's called cytomegalovirus, or CMV, which is much less known and gets much less media attention. However, it is the most common viral cause of birth defects in the United States. In Idaho, the NAMPA-based advocacy group, Idaho CMV Advocacy Project, pushed for legislation in the state that would require the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare to make available information about CMV. Well, not only did it go through the legislature, but it was recently signed into law by Governor Butch Otter just in March. So joining me now to talk about CMV and the new Idaho law is Jessica and Patrick Rachels. Both of them are members of the Idaho CMV Advocacy Project. Welcome, guys, to the show. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having us.
You bet.
Thank you.
Well, like I said in the intro, CMV is barely a blip in the media. However, it's really a significant problem. Let me go ahead and start with Jessica. Can you give my audience a good introduction of CMV? Like, what is it and how is it transmitted?
Yes, I'd be glad to. You did a great job of pronouncing it. It's a tongue twister. But CMV is a common virus of the herpes family, and it affects people of all ages. Between 60% and 80% have caught it by the time that they're 40 years old. Most CMV infections are silent, meaning those infected have no signs or symptoms. For others, the symptoms appear as what you would get with a common cold. Once you catch this virus, it stays with you for life. When a baby is born with a CMV infection, it's called congenital CMV infection. How it's transmitted, the real problem is if you have a weakened immune system or if you're a fetus, then it can cause some serious issues. CMV is not transmitted through the air, so it's not airborne, but it's through bodily fluids. It's passed through close, casual contact with others, such as through saliva, urine, and other bodily fluids. Pregnant women who work with young children or they're at more of a high risk due to coming into contact with bodily fluids, such as wiping runny noses, diaper changes, and feeding. It's one of the few viruses that can pass through the placenta. Once the fetus is infected, the virus can cause damage to the brain, eyes, and or inner ears.
All right, let me turn to Patrick now. Patrick, what are the signs and symptoms of CMV, and how many newborns in the U.S. are actually affected by this virus?
Well, the signs and symptoms are long and complicated. Hearing loss, jaundice, pneumonia, rash, enlarged liver, spleen, lung problems, small head size, premature birth, long-term issues including vision loss, hearing loss, and more studies need to be done in regards to long-term issues. Intellectual disability, lack of coordination, weakness of or problems of using your muscles, seizures, feeding issues, hearing loss, small head size, and according to the CDC, currently 1 out of every 200 children are born with congenital CMV. However, only 1 in every 5 children will be sick from the virus and will have long-term health problems.
Yeah, I was looking at a story I did on the website. I don't know how long ago was that. About a year ago about CMV, and some of the numbers that I got on there was that it caused disabilities in about 8,000 children in the U.S. every year, including 400 deaths. I mean, that's astounding.
Yeah, and the biggest problem is we don't hear enough about it. Nobody knows.
Right. Yeah, that is a problem. That's why I have you guys on. Jessica, what are the preventive measures? I mean, how do you prevent getting this virus? And And if you do, is there a way to treat it?
Thank you. That's a great question. The number one thing is universal hand washing. That's key. So since CMV is transmitted most easily from wet saliva to wet saliva, following the following simple steps during or before pregnancy can help. The first one, do not share food, drinks, toothbrushes with children. Avoid kissing a child on the mouth or kiss them on their cheek. Do not put a child's toys or the pacifier into or around your mouth. Washing your hands for 15 to 20 seconds with warm water and soap. That one is very key. Mm-hmm. After feeding a child, washing your hands. After wiping a child's nose or mouth, washing your hands. And after changing diapers, washing your hands. As far as the treatment, there's no vaccine as of yet, but hopefully in the next 10 to 20 years, there will be. There are experimental treatments, antiviral meds, and those can be used during pregnancy and after birth within the first month of life. However, those do have their risks, so you really have to, weigh out the pros and cons to using those meds.
Yeah. So it's pretty much like most viruses. There's not a treatment for it. It's just taking care of the symptoms. And here's the most important question I got for you guys, and it goes to both of you, and I just want you both to weigh in however you want to. You were both personally affected by CMV with your daughter. You have an 11-year-old daughter. Would you be kind enough to share your family story with CMV with us?
Definitely. I'll start. I was a child care provider. I watched a few kiddos in my house, and I had never heard of CMV. I'd heard about fetal alcohol syndrome, Down syndrome, spina bifida, but never about CMV. I was pregnant with our second child, and I didn't realize that my occupation put my child at a higher risk. I acquired the virus for the first time during my pregnancy to Natalie. She seemed like a typical baby at birth, but she had a smaller head size. She had some reflex issues, and she failed her newborn hearing test several times, which at first they just shrugged it off. It's probably just the coding that she had on her. So at 2.5 months of age, and after doing more in-depth testing, we found out that our daughter was mostly deaf and that she had congenital CMV, which sadly had damaged most parts of her brain. Today, Natalie's 11 years old. She's outlived the prediction that the doctor gave her years ago that she wouldn't make it to her double digits. We feel like we're on borrowed time. I never know if today will be our last day with her. She's undergone 10 surgeries, and she has more in the future. She has rods in her back. She's had hip surgery. She's had lengthening of the different tendons in her legs and her arms. She has bilateral cochlear implants. She has 2 other implanted devices. She eats strictly through a G-tube. She has seizures. She's unable to walk, talk, sit up, or even hold her own head up for long periods of time. She has several therapies per week and sees several specialists. She's cost the state of Idaho $1.1 million. And yet, all of this that she's overcome, she's a beautiful, happy social butterfly. She loves light toys. Her favorite game is peekaboo with the door. And she's brought much joy to her family.
Of course. Patrick, you got anything to add?
Well, yeah, we got a few things. I mean, it limits what our family can do together. We don't do the normal family outings, because of things like weather or trying to see if we actually have coverage for our daughter. But in regards to the weather, if it's too windy, too cold, or too hot, we probably can't go. Lifting on our 68-pound daughter is definitely taking its toll on my wife's body. Every day she's in pain from all the lifting. It affects her back quite a bit. I feel like we must fight for the equipment that we get, and sometimes that can be a long, drawn-out struggle. And she does about 1.5 hours of breathing treatment daily, and requires oxygen, especially when she's sick. So yeah, it affects our life quite a bit. It's different. So.
Well, it's amazing you could find the time to come on this show today. It sounds like a handful. And
busy for sure.
Yeah. What a story. Let's go ahead and switch gears to the law. And let me go ahead and start with Patrick. The new Idaho law. What does the passage of this law actually do?
Well, it makes the information available. So basically, the Department of Health and Welfare shall make available the following information to the public, particularly regarding pregnant women and women who may become pregnant. Incidents of CMV how CMV is transmitted, birth defects caused by congenital CMV, available preventive measurements, and information relating to CMV deemed pertinent by the Department of Health and Welfare.
Yeah. So basically, it's forcing the health department to educate people. Yeah.
It's to make that information known.
Yeah.
People, if you don't know about CMV, you don't have the power to protect yourself from it.
Sure. And what are you and the Idaho CMV Advocacy Project planning to do next legislatively? Anything?
Well, we're planning to return to make the Idaho CMV month, to returning to legislation next month to make an Idaho CMV month for the month of June. A few other states have done so, and our plan is just focusing on the educational piece and not letting CMV slip through the cracks any more than it already has, because knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jessica, did the Idaho CMV Advocacy Project, is this based on a national organization, or is there a national CMV organization?
There is a national one.
Yeah.
We're not part of that one, but we have been talking with them. That one would be nationalcmv.org,
Gotcha.
And they're amazing. They have great resources.
Excellent.
We're just a really small little group.
Sure.
Made of 3 moms, a dad, and a grad student who are dedicated to educating women on CMV and sharing the risk and the ways to prevent catching the virus.
It's great work you're doing. And go ahead, Jessica. Why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about the Idaho CMV Advocacy Project and whatever you want to say about yourselves.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, it's just a small group. We got started this past winter. My husband and I were able to go to Texas to a public health conference on CMV, which really lit a fire under us. And we got into contact with Sarah from Utah, and they are the ones that started this movement with getting legislation started in all the different states, and they are amazing. They have an awesome program. So getting into contact with her, she got me into contact with Rebecca out of Napa, and because I'm up in North Idaho, and we just started this group, and now we've got 3 moms and a dad and a grad student on board. More or less, knowledge is key, and it's really hard to prevent something that one doesn't know about. So we're hoping that we can spread the information out there, turn something negative into something positive.
Yes, ma'am. If somebody wants to learn more about what you guys are doing, how could they get a hold of you? What's the website? You got any social media, anything like that?
We do. So we have a website, and again, that just got started this last winter. It's idahocmv.com, and then you can learn a little bit about the members, and we've got some information. And then also we're on Facebook, Idaho CMV Advocacy Project. And then again, nationalcmv.org is an amazing website. So just a wealth of information if people want to donate to the cause, if they just want to learn more about CMV, and that is a great place to go.
Very good. Excellent. So when I publish the podcast, after the show airs, I will definitely make sure I put these links on the page so everybody could check it out and see if they could get involved or if they want to learn what you guys are doing. And I want to thank you, Patrick and Jessica Rachels, for joining me this evening. Keep up the good work, and God bless you and yours. I appreciate it.
Yep. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, guys.
God bless you. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much. All right. Well,